we've had the heartbreaking news. You've got a run injury. How do we get back to running without that sneaking, suspicious, little bit of pain creeping in and questioning whether the next step's going to be the one that calf pings again? Don't be that athlete that gets injured, takes time away from their sport running, and then just jumps straight back into what they were doing before they got injured. These 2 steps are going to help you go back and not get re-injured straight away, be able to hit those pre-injury training loads and do it safely. So number 1, we've got to be strong enough. We've been taking time away from our run. We want to do some tests and some strength work to make sure that the muscles that have been injured or in that full run kinetic chain are doing the job that we want them to. We're going to get Janae to run through one of the tests here. We're going to test calf strength, calf endurance. We're going to be able to hit 30 reps, so we'll come over and demo how that looks. We're going to go index, finger, and thumb, just so we're not getting too much boost off the thing we're holding onto here. We're going to go front leg up as high as we can, like a run stride, and then we're going to calf raise up as high as we can. So that's the benchmark. We've got to hit that height every time we do the rep. Back down to the floor, back up. So we're going 1 second down, 1 second up, 1 second down, 1 second up, and we go as many reps as we can go until we hit total fatigue or we can't maintain that height. As I said, 30 reps is the goal, but we're looking for less than 10% difference side to side. Big discrepancy means that might be setting ourselves up for injury if we go back to running. All right, next one we're gonna have a quick look at posterior chain strength endurance. We're gonna make sure those hammies and glutes are strong enough to get us back to running injury-free. This test here, we're gonna integrate how the foot and hamstring actually work when we run, which is through the big toe, up into the hip. Again, it's a timed hold. We're gonna try and get 45 seconds, it's a goal. Ambitious, I know. Sometimes it feels like you've been hitting the hammy with a sniper, but let's get Janae into position here. To start off with, we can have a little bit of bend on the knee, driving through the base of that big toe, drive hips up into the air, holding that position, knee, hip, shoulder in a straight line. Make sure you maintain that. Start the clock, 45 seconds. Compare to the other side, make sure there's not a massive difference. It's all about the hip lock as we're coming back to running, being able to maintain this position without losing ourselves all over the shop. There's the bottom part of that equation, which is how strong we are through here, but then there's the top half of that equation, how strong we are through here. Our obliques sit in between our ribs and our hips. When they're strong and we stand here, they can support our hip position and maintain the hip lock. So we're gonna get Janae into a side plank and just demo how we're gonna go through the test and what we're after with the test. So if you don't mind jumping down the ground here, Janae. So set up, feet, knees, hip, shoulder, all in one straight line. We don't want to be getting into these kind of positions. So if we can get Janae up, from the top of her head to her heels, we want a straight line. So nice high hip position. And then if we're looking from this angle down, what we don't want to see is the hips rotating back here. So we want to keep hips up and down here. Make sure we're imagining if we build a brick wall either side of the body, that we're staying in that line. Once we're up, keep the elbow under the shoulder, hold for time. 90 seconds is the goal, but again, looking at right versus left and making sure there's not a massive difference side to side. All right, last test we're gonna have a look at is a split squat hold. So we've looked at the posterior chain, we've looked at the calves, we've looked at the core. Now we wanna make sure those quads are strong enough to go back into running, but also got enough endurance to keep us going for the distance that we're on. So if Janae was to hop down into a split squat, stationary lunge, what we want to do is maintain a good straight hip position here. We don't want to be too bent on the hip like so. Lean forward just a little bit there. We don't want to break that angle. We want to keep that there. Knee just strongly over the front foot, hold that. And then once we get down into that position, start the clock. And we're going to try and see if we can hold for a minute. Come back up, and then we're going to compare to the other side and just see 1, are we getting pain? 2, can we do it? And 3, what's the technique look like on both sides? Number 2 is we want to make sure that we're smartly managing our training loads. If we've had 1, 2, 4, 10, however many weeks we've been away from running, we're going to detrain and lose the skill. So when we come back in, we're going to appreciate that we can't just jump straight back into where we were when we got injured. We've got to be smart about it, think about doing some walking, running as a return to run, and then smartly increasing that training load over time.